Earlier this week, one of the big stories in Chicago was President Trump's tweet that he would send the feds to Chicago if the city's violence did not decrease. That was met with mixed reactions. Supporters hailing the move, saying something needs to be done, and opponents arguing against any government involvement. Well, right now, that is just a tweet, but will the president actually take action against the violent crisis? Joining us to talk more about this morning is anti-violence activist Jedidiah Brown. Thanks so much for joining us this morning. And you have become known throughout the city, but for those people who do not know about Jedidiah, you are a community activist, anti-violence. You ran for city council. You are in the trenches. So when people talk about the violence problems in Chicago, you know what's going on there. What is your first response to the president's initial tweet?
Well, the president's tweet was not particularly helpful because it did create a lot of chaos as other actions that he's taken. And as far as young people, it was really taken as a threat. You're talking about a generation who doesn't really view authority very well. Mm-hmm. To hear the president say, you know, get it together, I'll send the feds. Well, that translated to the streets as, you know, well, you'll start a war with us. It wasn't really helpful from a president.
So you think it just made things worse?
Okay,
so as somebody who knows what's going in and is very involved in the community, what do you want to say to our viewers who just read about this in the newspaper or hear about it in the news? What do Chicagoans need to know about what's going on in our communities and what needs to be done?
There are more good residents on the south and the west side of Chicago than there are that are violent. And if the city would come together and actually build community, a lot of the times you see a direct correlation between poverty and violence. Mm-hmm. If we can solve quality of life issues for young people on our sides of town, you would really see a decrease in violence.
Where does that begin?
It really, but it may sound cliche, really as simple as knowing your neighbor, knowing the beat cop being a part of the neighborhood, or the business owner opening their shop to a young person, creating activities, alternatives for being in the streets, and then recognizing that now, because so many people have been shot, there's a lot of resentment and anger and a desire to retaliate. There needs to be some conflict resolution, some anger management. There needs to be value put in front of picking up a gun and shooting it.
So community policing, let's talk about that, and let's talk about whatever else you think would make a difference. Is there currently community policing going on, and if there is, why isn't it making a difference?
The gap between the community and police is still very, very wide, and it's not getting better. We don't have creative, innovative leadership that's really ready to inspire the healing of the divide. There is no community policing because the community has been completely disengaged or disempowered. So no, and I think that really what has to happen is the Chicago police now needs to get behind residents of neighborhoods and invest in the neighborhood watches and the precinct captain programs. Invest CAPS money into neighborhoods so that they can create their own identity around safety. So community policing has failed epically right now, and that's something I'm working on too.
Okay, so let's talk about this. Let's talk about the people you mentioned at the beginning of this interview who are peaceful people who do not want this violence that's going on. I want you to be their voice right now. I want you to be their mouthpiece because you have been talking to them. And what would they say if they had this platform right now to the mayor, to people who don't ever go to that part of the city? What would they be saying?
Come to this part of the city and provide for the basic needs of the residents who live there. Understand that, yes, it is a reality that you don't have to be in the game. You could be in your home watching your television and a stray bullet can come in your house and take your life. Understand that there are mothers. We're talking about hundreds of mothers who have lost their children. And the residents who are the residents that you're speaking of are people who said we want to live and we want to be safe just as every other neighborhood in Chicago, and put a different kind of spotlight on the neighborhood. Magnify the needs and how to meet those needs, and not just talk about violence.
Are they feeling hopeless?
Hopeless is a part of, you know, every single year that I've not dealt with this trend of violence, I've seen what I would call zombie-like figures, younger people. They're looking in their eyes. You can see it. They sometimes look soulless. And to hear young people say that I've developed a relationship with, from the good kid to what you would consider the trouble kid, say I love you because I don't even know if I'll survive tomorrow. This is the reality of my side of town. Okay. Gunshots is a part of the soundtrack of my life, and it's unfortunate. And but we want better.
Well, you know what? I appreciate you coming in and telling us about this morning and talking to us. Keep up the work that you're doing out there, because I think it does give a lot of people who feel hopeless some hope. So thank you so much for coming in this morning.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, keep us posted with what's going on too.
Will do.
Okay.